All right, so in this module, I'm going to be going over the basics to light and specifically sunlight and how it really is the core driver to all things life and health. We're going to have plenty of modules and plenty of things that go into the concepts of light, quantum physics, and how this all explains the root cause to all things that we experience. Without light, nothing exists. It literally is everything, it makes up everything, including your thoughts. So, sunlight is the root cause to all things health. There's a reason why ancient cultures worship the sun because life would not exist without the sun. It really is, at the core, the most important thing that you need to take into account to optimize your hormone and optimize your life. I can't say that enough. This is really so simple that we've overlooked it for years and years and years, and now it's finally coming to a point where we're realizing that the foundations, the free energy that we are exposed to, is really the root sources to gut health, hormone optimization, lean body mass, reducing body fat, optimizing your energy, reducing brain fog, reducing inflammation, joint pain, back pain, low energy, low sex drive. All these negative things that we experience, we're trying to pile it on top and correct it with all sorts of nutrients and supplements and medicine and surgeries and all these things. I'm not saying those don't have a place, but we're ignoring the main root cause to all things health, gut health, and hormone health, and overall body and well being. It is light. It is truly light that ultimately gives us everything we need to optimize everything. So if we're skipping out on light, you're skipping out on the root cause, the root source to everything else. And I'll really kind of give an example. I want to see a study. Be interested to see this. Is if you have two individuals, one is a smoker, works at a desk, works in front of a computer, but goes out to have a smoke and gets sunlight on a frequent basis throughout the day versus somebody who stays indoor under artificial light all day, doesn't smoke, they both have the same diet, I would argue that the smoker could be healthier than the individual who stays inside all day. Just to put a point and emphasis on there. I can't prove that right now, but I'm making a point that that's how important sunlight is. It can make up for a lot of toxicities and a lot of negative side effects that people, or a lot of negative habits that people have. So if we stack the deck in your favor, and now you're starting to get optimal sunlight and you're stacking the deck with all these metabolic mastery tools and habits, you're going to be a freaking machine. You're going to be a beast. And this is the foundation to all things health. I've reduced my supplement necessity for supplementation. My gut and skin health has improved. My muscle mass has improved. My energy, my sleep has improved. My sex drive has improved. All these things. And I've got other guys who have been working with me on this concept for over a year now. And it's amazing that, their testosterone is elevating without having to take massive amount of supplements or TRT. So this is really the foundation to all things. We know vitamin D is synthesized through sunlight, and this is a really important point. Things don't get activated without sunlight. There's a whole cascade of mechanisms in place that ultimately drive testosterone, that drive gut health, that drive your energy, that drive good sleep, that drive brain performance and overall performance and health. And it's all due to the activation of the sun. And if you're limiting or not getting enough sunlight, you are limiting your body's capabilities and own mechanisms and systems to optimize itself. So let's give it the opportunity it needs to heal itself and optimize itself, and it's through sunlight. So step number one is you want to get up when the sun rises, right? You want to get exposure, direct skin and sunlight and eye exposure. So this means when you're in the sun, when you're outside, no sunglasses. And this means that you need to get as much skin contact as possible. So ideally, you get up and you get at least 5 minutes out into the sun. You either open your windows, if it's wintertime, still get that exposure. You gotta know that this is absolutely imperative to your overall health and well-being and your optimization. Sunlight is the most important thing here. So get direct eye not staring at the sun, but you get what I mean, nothing blocking. So if you wear glasses or contacts, get 5 minutes without glasses or contacts on and get direct exposure because windows, glasses, contacts, they block some of the spectrum of light. And we need to look at light as a nutrient. There's different hues of light. We have blue spectrum, green, yellow, orange, and red spectrum. And that's just a small snippet of the entire spectrum of light that we're exposed to. Ultraviolet rays, X-rays, all these different wavelengths that we're exposed to that is light actually. Sound is actually a form of light. We're exposed to this. Our skin is exposed to this. Our eyes are exposed to this. Our mouths are exposed to this. This affects our gut health. This affects our whole entire system. So we need to look at light as really a key nutrient that most people are deficient in. And when you get an overexposure of a certain color of light, it causes a certain increase in bodily function and suppresses other aspects of bodily function. So I'll give you an example. Blue light, for example, increases cortisol. It's excitatory. It gets you amped up. So it raises cortisol, which is good first thing in the morning, but not good at night, not good throughout the day if you get overexposed to blue light, which most people are, right? The other thing, this is through LED lights, this is through the computer screens and phone screens. We're constantly exposed to these bright white lights, and there's more to light than just the color. There's the flicker, there's the heat to it, which we'll get into in other modules. But for right now, just understand that light's a nutrient, and each color has its own nutrient and its own pros. And ultimately, if you ingest too much of a good thing, it can be bad. So blue light is one of those things that we over ingest just due to the technology and surroundings that we're in. So back to getting direct sunlight exposure. When you get out first thing in the morning, you're collecting a very vibrant red light, which is very anti-inflammatory, very calming, very suitable to get your body prepped for the day. It actually optimizes your skin, so over time you'll prep your body to reduce the risk of sunburn, and you'll actually optimize your absorption of those UV light rays that will help with the whole cascade of mechanisms and systems within the body to optimize your circadian rhythm and your hormones and your body composition and energy, everything. I just keep on listing these things off because it literally affects everything, your metabolism overall. So getting light first thing in the morning, most optimal. If you can get outside, crack a window, because windows will block the UV rays and will block the rays overall. I recommend downloading the Circadian app. I'll leave a link in the description below. This will help to optimize your time zone and when to get sunlight, because it really types out when you should get sunlight. And amongst many other things too, the Circadian app is a great tool that you can utilize. I recommend just getting the premium. It's not expensive. I think it's like $2 a month. And it just gets you dialed in with understanding light exposure, and it's a reminder to get outside for 5 minutes. And I say minimum 5 minutes. You can go out there for as long as you want. You can be out there as long as you need to, as long as you desire. But 5 minutes is enough to just cue the system, let it know what's going on, and then you can get back to whatever you're doing. I even go throughout my house and I'll open up windows and lift up the screen with the risk of letting flies in, because I want direct sunlight as much as possible. So screens will inhibit some of the light to come through, but it's not completely inhibited. So you're better off opening the window and keeping the screen down than not having it open whatsoever. So also, if the sun is not directly hitting the window, you can still open the window. Light does bend, so you can get the benefits of light exposure. Even if it's not direct, it's better than not getting no light whatsoever or having the windows closed completely. So keep that in mind as you go through and pay attention to your light exposure throughout the day. Windows cracked is better than not, and direct sunlight is better than having the windows cracked and having indirect sunlight, but don't let good be the enemy of perfection here. Just be aware of that. Then you want to get some mid-morning sunlight. So the Circadian app will help time you out with all this. You're going to get primarily a UVA light, which is going to help to warm up your body for the UVB light that comes in during high noon, that where the sun is actually strongest and your most risk for sunburn occurs during that time. But you can actually set the mechanisms in place, as I mentioned, to get your body prepped and ready for more intense sunlight. And your body's going to absorb those photons from the sun and create what's called easy water. You'll check that out in the hydration module. But this is where you can actually create energy out of sunlight. This is extraordinary and really groundbreaking, but we're understanding the science now that this has been understood for millennia, for years and years and years prior to what traditional science says or modern science says. can actually make energy out of sunlight and actually produces chemicals in the brain that make you addicted to getting sunlight actually. So you start to actually want to get outside more, and you start to urge, just like if you got any type of habit or urge to do something negative or positive, sunlight actually starts to synthesize your body in a way chemically to induce you to want to get outside more and more. I have found that to be true myself. So you'll feel it re-energize yourself. You'll feel yourself pick up and have more consistent energy throughout the day when you start implementing these things I'm talking about here. So morning sunlight, when the sun comes up at dawn, you want to try to get that sunlight directly to start the mechanisms in place to set you up for a good day and a good night. Because when you get that sunlight first thing in the morning, it's going to set a cascade of genetic activations that are going to ultimately lead to melatonin production at night, which gets you to a good night of sleep. So if you miss that morning sunlight, you're going to limit your ability to produce melatonin at night. So it's really how you start the day that dictates how well you get at night, how well you get sleep at night. So you can also crack the window if you're driving to get direct sunlight. If you have the windows up, it's going to limit your exposure to sunlight, and you're going to be missing out on some of those spectrums of light, those colors of light, and look at those as nutrients. So giving you some tools and tactics along the way to get exposure and integrate it into your day. Whether you're at work, at home, or driving, you can still get sunlight. So that being said, after the mid-morning sunlight, you want to get high noon, or what's known as solar noon sunlight, and you want to get at least 5 minutes of sunlight during that time. I recommend trying to go longer than 5 minutes. If you can go 15 minutes, have a business conversation outside, have a phone call outside, do whatever you need to do. But if you can do it outside on your phone, you're better off doing it that way, or at least taking breaks to do that as well. Then you want a mid-afternoon sun break or light break, doing the same thing. 5 to 15 minutes would be optimal. More is better. And then at night, as sunset comes down, so whether you're in the wintertime or summertime, sunset is sunset. It could be happening at 4:30, it could be happening at 9:30, depending on where you're at and what time of year you're going on. But that's what you're going to do, is try to get that sunset light as well. And all through this spectrum, you're getting different levels of light. You're getting different levels of nutrients throughout the day. And it's cueing and resetting your body and your circadian rhythm to let it know what time of day it is. Because when you're inside all day and you're exposed to blue light, it's thinking it's a certain time of day, early morning, it's time to get up and get moving and get going. And it's throwing your whole circadian rhythm off. So by the time you're ready to shut down and go to bed, it's been thinking that it's morning the whole damn time, and it throws off all your hormones, all your ability to reset and restore your system to have a good night of sleep. And then your sleep's impaired. And when you have poor sleep, it's going to cause all sorts of issues in the morning, which causes low testosterone, low energy. You metabolize sugar at a lower rate, which means that you're going to store it in fat more. You're going to have more cravings. You're going to have more anxiety, more brain fog, more issues, more inflammation, and that ultimately leads to more weight gain. So this is foundational. You want to get your light spectrums in throughout the day, at the very least morning, noon, and night. But if you can optimize it and you want to really strive for this and prioritize this, make your workplace mold and work around you. You prioritize this. Make the choice, make the decision to get out directly in the sun without sunglasses, without any limitations of exposure on the eyes. I recommend too, for some guys who got a belly or a chest that they're trying to get rid of, this may be a little bit vulnerable, but going out without the shirt. That's what lean people are going to do. That's what you're going to do when you're lean. So start walking into it now. Do it in the backyard. Do it whenever you can. But get outside without the shirt too. Get full exposure as much as you can. That's a key thing. Now, I'm going to add a little tidbit here, and this one's a little weird. This one's probably not for beginners per se, but this is something that there's some science behind this that backs it up. Now, this is something that I don't recommend doing just in the open in front of the neighbors, or frankly anybody who doesn't need to be seeing this. But tanning and getting direct sunlight on your balls is actually very, very beneficial for testosterone optimization. You can boost testosterone just through getting direct sunlight exposure to your testicles. The reason being is because there's so much mitochondrial density in the testicles. I was going to say nutsack. that you increase the mitochondrial activity to produce easy water, which then increases the conductivity and electricity within your body, which increases energy and testosterone. So getting direct sunlight on your balls 5 to 10 minutes anytime during the day is going to optimize your testosterone even further and drive health even further. So something that I do, I drive a truck, just full disclosure here. I'm driving in the truck on the highway and I got an hour drive to the training center and an hour drive back at times. What I'll do is I'll pull up my shorts, flip my nuts out, and just go ahead and drive with the window down. And I'm riding high, so nobody's really going to be looking or seeing me, and it gets direct sunlight and exposure. Another way to do it, I got a window in my bathroom in the morning. I can lower the window from the top down and the sunlight beads directly into the room, and I'm sitting in the I'm standing in the bathroom, completely exposed and getting direct sunlight that way. And I'll listen to a podcast or meditate or visualize and just get direct sunlight on the goods to really optimize mitochondrial function. And that's just another way, that's another level that you can get to ultimately optimize your sun exposure. So that's a little tidbit side note, something that we'll probably leave out for this. What else? Oh, and then the last thing I want to share, and the last thing I want to share in terms of mitigating your blue light exposure, you're getting sunlight throughout the day. That's one way to mitigate it, to reset your system and kind of replenish the easy water and the energy within your body through direct sunlight. Another way that you can mitigate the blue light exposure is by getting blue blockers. So I recommend getting a pair of blue blockers. You can get them on Amazon. I'll give you a link to the ones that I got. I literally got the brand blue blockers. Wear these indoors during the day and early night. And when I'm driving early morning, I drive at 4:30 in the morning to meet a client, and there's a lot of bright lights and there's no sunlight. I will wear these when I drive, and I go to his warehouse to go train, and there's bright fluorescent lighting underneath us, and I'll wear these while we train. Looks a little toolish, but you can really limit your exposure to blue light and the stressors of blue light by getting blue blockers. And then I recommend at night or in the morning early as well, if you're not driving or you don't have to worry about seeing too well, then you get some red light laser glasses. These red light laser glasses turn everything red, and it blocks out all the blue green hues. Red is very restorative, very regenerative, and you're just only letting red light go into the eyes, which is going to then circulate throughout your whole entire system. This is really good for at night before going to bed. An hour or two before bed, you may find yourself just starting to knock out because melatonin production increases when you are exposed to red light spectrum, especially at night when it's time to secrete melatonin. So those two glasses are really good options for when you're working or when you're functioning. You can even get like direct yellow lenses where you can actually see your eyes. Like this one, you can't see my eyes, but you can get clear yellow ones. I don't trust the clear glasses, but the yellow tint glasses I do trust in regards to blue blockers. You want to get a trusted source when it comes to those because you don't want to just wear them for nothing. So wearing those while you're on the screen working during the day is a good move. And then early morning and at night for the red light glasses, when you don't have to drive, when you don't have to walk around or do anything for that matter, just relaxing, watching TV or being on the computer or just living at night, this is what you can put on. And that will help optimize your circadian rhythm and everything else that we talk about, the metabolism as a whole. One last little tool that you can use for your computer is what's known as E.flux or F.flux, sorry. F.lux is a software. I'll leave the link in the description below as well, where it's a free software that optimizes your screen. It reduces and eliminates the blue light, so it turns it to an orangish hue. It's something that takes some time to get used to, but if you can do that while you're working, you're reducing your blue light exposure as well. It's just another layer and another way to optimize your environment. Other things that we'll get into with the light modules is red light therapy, other ways to increase the different spectrums of light with incandescent light bulbs and other things. But for now, we want to focus on getting sunlight consistently throughout the day, morning, noon, and at night at least for 5 to 15 minutes. But most optimal is upon sunrise, mid-morning, solar noon, mid-afternoon, and sunset. If you can get 5 to 15 minutes break throughout that spectrum at least, then you're going to be really setting yourself up for a solid foundation. This is the basics. If you can master the basics, you can get to mastery. So we need to really focus on mastering this concept as a foundation to your overall optimization. So that's it for now. Go ahead and follow the next module. We're going to go into other factors such as hydration and meal timing with your nutrition framework. And you're going to really have the foundations for all things: sunlight, hydration, meal timing. These are the foundations to your overall metabolic mastery. Take care.